So Manchester United have officially signed Matheus Cunha from Wolverhampton Wanderers. The summer transfer window has started off with a bang. We are getting ourselves one of the best players in the Premier League from the past 2 seasons. He's been simply phenomenal over the past 2 years. Now it is Manchester United's job to do something that we haven't done very well in the past decade, and that is to provide an environment for Cunha to take his previous performances and now take them to the next level at Manchester United. Now, in terms of the environment, of course, things off the pitch will play a part, but today's focus is all about on the pitch. Now, when I'm talking about creating the right environment for Cunha on the pitch, that means his positioning, which I feel is quite obvious, right? Everyone has him viewed as a left 10 for obvious reasons. That is where he has played the past few seasons. That's where Manchester United have needed strength. Cunha into this position makes a lot of sense. So that's a good start. But past that, what we need to look at is behaviours. You know, for example, the freedom we give him, but also the players that we put around him, the profiles of player that we put around him. Because you can't just take any good footballer, throw them into any group of players and expect them to perform at their absolute peak, right? They need the right type of players around them, and that will be important for Cunha. And obviously the focus today really is going to be the players that will be close to him. So we're looking at the left wing back, we're looking at the central midfielder on his side, and also the striker, because these are the players that Cunha is likely to be interacting with, or certainly that's what we hope. And what we're going to do today is start off with the left wing back, because Cunha has had an amazing relationship, an amazing understanding with Aït-Nouri at Wolves. These two have developed a connection really down the left hand side of the Wolves attack, and that has been pivotal for Cunha. What Aït-Nouri has done in particular is given Cunha the freedom to rotate and move into different positions, because Aït-Nouri is a player who is great at moving inside the pitch or outside, which means that Cunha can do both. You know, they kind of operate opposite each other. One goes wide, one comes inside. But also what Aït-Nouri has done is he's taken some of the pressure off of Cunha. Because Aït-Nouri is a good attacking threat, it reduces some of the pressure on Cunha, some of the weight on his shoulders. But also, because he's so good technically, he is a player that himself possesses tactical gravity. You know, it takes a couple of players to get towards him and stop him, which is quite rare for a fullback turned wingback. But he's done this job very well, and at times that has created room for Cunha. And for me, we need to try and attempt somehow to recreate this link up, because these two have got a real synergy and an understanding. Now, of course, this will not happen immediately at Manchester United, because some of the little chips, the little dinks, the little scoops, the little flicks that these guys do to each other are genuinely genius, and it's going to take time for Cunha to develop that understanding with someone at United. You know, it's not going to happen in a week, it's not going to happen in a month, maybe not in a season. It will take a little bit of time for him to get this understanding. But for me, this is something that we will need to try and do. Give someone for Cunha to develop a linking with, develop an understanding down the left-hand side. Because if we do that for Cunha, if we give him a wing-back, which is expressive, you know, I'm talking about Rabona passes down the line and little flicks and things like that. If we can provide that for Cunha, then I genuinely believe that he can blossom on the left side of our attack. Now, I guess the first question would be, can Dorgu be that? Can Dorgu provide that? And we did a video on Dorgu a couple of weeks back. I think he has started quite well at Manchester United. I think a lot of the criticism he has received has been quite harsh for such a young player in a new environment. And generally speaking, I think he's played pretty well. Can he provide Cunha with the support that he needs? In moments, I think he can. I think Dorgu is extremely underrated with his combination play, his linking work. I think people picture Dorgu as this athlete who wants to bomb down the line all day and be a sprinter for the team. But I don't think he is that. I think he's a player that wants to combine with people nearby. And that will help Cunha. Cunha will like that. Someone nearby that he can sort of bounce passes off, that you can play 1-2s with, and you can move around the opposition. Again, I'll leave a link to the Dorgu video in the description down below. But in that video, we looked at Dorgu linking the play really well with Bruno Fernandes. Cunha will probably enjoy Dorgu doing something similar. The only concern I have with this duo is whether or not either of them will actually want to hold the width and really play on the touchline. Now, of course, you don't need that all the time. Minimum width is literally a thing in football. But I think Cunha with Aït-Nouri benefited from having someone who would bomb down the line at times. Now, Dorgu is more than capable of doing that. He has the acceleration, he has the frame, the pace to get into those situations. I would just say that during his time at Manchester United so far, we have seen a player that looks better when he comes inside the pitch. And I think Cunha is better inside the pitch as well. So that is just something that Manchester United will need to look out for, just with the left wing back situation. There's a chance eventually we need a slightly more attacking profile in this position to help out Cunha. But from the start, I think we'll see a pretty good understanding between these two. And yeah, I think to an extent it can work. Now, the next position that we need to talk about is the central midfielder, because as we've spoken about so many times in the past week or so, Cunha is a player who likes to drop a little bit deeper. He wants to get on the ball. You know, he's not a player to stretch in behind the opposition defence. He wants to come towards the ball, get lots of touches and be involved in the game, get a feel for the game, lots of touches on the ball. And if he's doing that, I think it has an effect on the midfielder playing on his side. For example, if this player in this position here was an over-the-top ball carrier, there's potentially a clash there, because you're going to have Cunha dropping deeper wanting to carry the ball, but also a ball-carrying midfielder in that position wouldn't really work. They would potentially get in each other's way a little bit. So I think what Manchester United will need more of in this position is a passer, someone who wants to get the ball and move it via passing rather than carrying through the lines. At times, hopefully, that can allow Cunha to actually hold a slightly higher starting position. You know, sometimes perhaps he drops deep because that's the only way for him to get on the ball. Hopefully United can get a midfielder into this position who can find him a little bit higher up the pitch, closer to the opposition goal, so there's less distance for him to travel. Now, to be fair, that could be Casemiro. Casemiro is a good progressive passer. It also could be Bruno Fernandes as well, to be fair. Bruno is a player that could find Cunha in those gaps. He could progress the ball and allow Cunha to attack from that position. But the key will be ball progression via passing. Not a dribbling midfielder, I don't think. Not when Cunha's playing. I think it will be more of a passing player to find Cunha in the gaps, because Cunha will find the gaps. He will find the space. We then need another United player to find him, because if we can do that, again, we know, we've looked at so many clips recently, Cunha's a great ball carrier. Now, the final thing that I want to talk about is, of course, the striker. If we're talking about signing a left-sided 10, someone who can, of course, contribute goals, but also look to create opportunities for other people, we need to discuss the player that he is trying to create opportunities for. This season for Manchester United, it has largely been Rasmus Højlund up front or Joshua Zirkzee. Now, what I'm going to do for today is just imagine this player doesn't have a name and just talk about the striker profile instead. For me, what will suit Cunha is a player that wants to stretch the opposition defence, who wants to move in behind. We spoke about this in a video a few days ago with Brian Mbeumo, talking about Cunha and Mbeumo playing in the same team. And something I was really keen to point out was, if you've got a player who wants to come towards the ball, you have to have other players that are going to stretch things the other way. Because if Cunha comes towards the ball, if the striker comes towards the ball, if the right 10 does it, then the opposition can step up, they can be aggressive, they can press, all of that stuff. We've spoken about it before. At the same time, if you've got too many players going in behind, then you end up with no one in this gap. What you need is a combination of both skill sets, right? So you need some players to come towards, some players to go in behind. Cunha will be the one to come towards. He will be the one that drops deep and gets in this space. But he can only have that space if someone else is taking the opposition defence backwards. So for me, Manchester United need an athletic striker, someone who's going to play on the shoulder. Not a false nine, someone who's always dropping into midfield, someone who's going to go the other way. I think also we're looking at a gap potentially in the left-sided channel as well, which could suit Højlund, to be fair, or Liam Delap. They both have left-side tendencies. But I think there might be a gap there, particularly if Cunha starts high, sort of near this centre-back, and then drops deeper to pick up the ball in this position. Is there a chance that's going to drag a centre-back out of position, and then we can sort of spin in behind into those areas? That is absolutely something that I would be looking at for Manchester United this season. Like I said, it might be Højlund, it might be a signing. But I think this is going to open up some channels because, again, Cunha, tactical gravity, he will terrify teams. He will terrify his teams. He will draw 2 or 3 players towards him because he's so strong, he's so technical, he's so difficult to stop that it takes multiple people. And that is inevitably going to create room for other people. And Cunha is a player that also can find the pass for the space that he's just created. But also, again, if we've got that passing central midfielder or we've got that overlapping wing-back that we were talking about, then you can see how it's going to make a lot of sense, right? All in all, I am very, very happy with the Cunha signing. I think it's a great start to the transfer window. I think he's nearly perfect for what we need in the left 10 position. He cost a little bit more than I would have liked. You know, United do have some financial troubles, but I think we're going to be okay in that regard, to be honest. Tactically, the concerns are just finding the right fit of the players around him. I think regardless, Cunha will be very good for us, but for him to perform at his absolute best, we are going to need to get the blend, the balance, and that probably won't all happen in this one transfer window, right? Because we've got so much to do. It's difficult to build a perfect team in one window. I think the starting point is making sure we've got some direct players in the team, making sure we've got some runners. That can be the left wing back, and it could be Patrick Dorgu. That can be the striker and Højlund, or it could be the right 10 and Mbeumo or an Ahmad. I don't know. But we will need players to make runs off the ball to allow Cunha to get the ball. But generally speaking, ignoring the analysis side of things for a second, Cunha is a very, very exciting signing. Very, very exciting. I think he's a great player. We're talking about Premier League proven, regular goal output over the past few seasons, and now realistically in his prime. I think it's a great signing. A little expensive, but I cannot wait to see him in a Manchester United shirt. If you want to see more content on Cunha, I'm probably not going to do another video just yet, but we do already have 3 videos on the channel. One was tactically how he will change this Manchester United team. One was his player profile, assessing how good he actually is. Another was how he could potentially link up with Brian and Mbeumo, and now today's one, looking at how we can get the best out of him. So that's sort of the Cunha mini-series finished for now, until we see him getting some action for Manchester United, which I cannot wait for. But that, of course, is in the future. In the present, right now, I think we're finished for today. So thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.